guys, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we're going to be doing a tutorial of my everyday makeup routine. If you love matte, full coverage, eyebrows, all that bronzy look, then this tutorial is for you. I will link all the products in the description below if you want to go and get any. So let's get on with the tutorial. So before any makeup, no matter what makeup you're doing, you need to have a good skin prep. And for my skin prep, I use the Bioma Moisturising Gel Cream. I find that this product hydrates my skin really good, and it kind of replaces the whole skincare routine type thing. You can do a skincare routine before your makeup and leave it for like 10 minutes to soak into your skin, but I find that this is just as good. So I just do a few pumps all around my face, not too much, but also not too little either, don't be shy. Make sure to get it on your neck too, you never want to leave your neck out, especially even when doing skincare. Also, I forgot to add that this won't include my eyebrows, but if you do want to know how I do my eyebrows, then I have an in-depth eyebrow tutorial pinned on my TikTok. Obviously, the first step is primer. I use the Beauty Co-op Weechery Gripping Primer. I find this is a really good primer as it keeps your makeup on all day, and it's also a gripping primer, so it basically glues your makeup to your face. This primer does make your face like quite red. As you can see, I have like a red tint to my face, but that is literally just because the primer is red. But don't be scared because it does soak into your skin and the redness does go away. So after primer, the next step is foundation. I use the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filler in the shade 2.5 Fair Pale. I also mix that with the Maybelline New York Superstay 24 Hour Skin Tint, but this is actually basically ran out, but I do usually just use that by itself. But at the minute I'm mixing it with the H&B Luminous Soft Focus Airbrush Foundation. This is in the shade LF5N. This is also in the shade 6. So I literally obviously just open the Flawless Filler and just put it all around my face. Obviously, these products that I'm using for my foundation aren't really full coverage, but that's okay because when we go on to like powdered products, that's what makes it matte and more full coverage. Personally, I don't really like a too heavy of a foundation because I feel like it makes your makeup really like cakey and it just feels like you have foundation on, and I don't like the feeling of having foundation on. And to blend that in, I use the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush, and I literally obviously just blend it in. You don't want to swipe like this, you don't want to do that. You literally just want to dab, because if you do swipe then it will like show that you've swiped, if that makes sense. Like it will leave like lines on your face and it just looks really weird. And obviously you also want to blend that into your neck also. One part I find really hard about doing foundation is when I get close to my eyebrows, because I don't carve the top of my eyebrows. You have to be really careful, because obviously you don't want to make it look like you have no makeup there, because you don't just want a line of no makeup, because obviously that will just look weird. So you do want to be really careful around the eyebrows, but you do still want to get as much product there as you can. You also want to avoid your under eyes also. This is because when you put your concealer on and also your under eye powder, it can make it crease more, so you want to use as minimal product under your eyes as possible. So next I go in with the Superstay Skin Tint, and also on this occasion the H&B foundation. I don't usually use this, but this is kind of just like a substitute, I guess you could say, for this until I get a new one. I do still use this product though, but there's literally nothing left. You'll be able to see in the bottle, there's literally nothing left. I am literally scraping the sides and pouring it upside down and trying to get as much product as I can. This skin tint is really good because although it does say it is a skin tint, it is quite full coverage, but it doesn't feel like a foundation, which I really love about this product. I'm really struggling to get product out of this. I think I've been scraping the sides for about 2 weeks, not gonna lie, but we're still getting product out of it. Well, some. And then I'm just gonna go in with like half a pump all around my face of this foundation, because this foundation is a bit too dark for me. So this also like makes it darker, because as you can tell I am tanned right now, so As you can tell, I don't really put much on, so I'm just going to go back in with that e.l.f. blending brush that we use for our flawless filler and just blend everything around together. Again, avoiding the under eyes and also getting as close to the eyebrow as possible. When going around your eyebrows, it's really difficult because if you do get it in your eyebrow, it's really hard to reverse it without actually taking your makeup off. So you want to be as precise as possible. What you also can do around your eyebrows is just grab like a really small thin brush, and I guess you can just carve your eyebrows out. I did used to carve my eyebrows out, but I find that it just takes up too much time, and I like my eyebrows not carved on the top anyway. Again, blending that foundation into your neck so you don't have a line. Nobody wants that line. One place I always forget is my nostrils, so you want to do that as well because you don't want to have pale nostrils. Also, if you want to know where my headband is from, it's from Primark. I think it's quite cute. It's supposed to be a mouse. Now, once you have blended that all around your face, it doesn't have to be perfectly blended in because we're now going to go in with a beauty blender. I have no clue where this is from, but I'm pretty sure it might be from... I don't remember what it is now. They used to be called Coco Cosmetics, I think. Chloe Cosmetics, something Cosmetics. I don't know. I will link it down below though. The point of the beauty blender is to kind of combine all the products we just used together, I guess, and also to get rid of any brush strokes that you may have put on your face from the brush. The next step is to go in with concealer. This concealer is the L'Oreal Infallible 24 Hour More Than Concealer. This is in the shade 324 Oatmeal. I did used to do bronzer and blush first before concealer, but I just found that doing concealer before them just like helps. Like, I just think it looks so much better. With this, I kind of do a triangle and go along my nose. I also bring it out kind of too. You don't want to be shy. Don't be shy. No dots. We don't want dots. We want big lines. You just want to bring it across the side of your nose, and I also bring it down underneath my nose also. And then you just want to repeat that on the other side. A tip for the concealer, you want to try avoid getting it in like your inner corner of your eye here, because I find it's just really hard to blend and I feel like it just looks kind of weird. Now that we have done that under eye concealer, we also want to conceal around our face. I conceal my chin and also the middle of my forehead in between my eyebrows. Now we go in with a setting spray. This is the Beauty Crop Pore Filter Seal Set and Mattifying Mist. I love this setting spray because the spray of it is really fine, and I'm also running out of this as well. Why is every one of my makeup products running out? Like, why? The reason why we go in with setting spray after our concealer is because I find it makes it easier to blend, and it also adds more coverage to the concealer. For blending our concealer, I go in with the Real Techniques. Is this the name of the beauty blender? I don't know, but it says M1574. It's just like I think it's actually called a concealer beauty blender. I got it in a pack in Home Bargains because Home Bargains you sell Real Techniques beauty blenders. Who know? Me, obviously, and also the whole of TikTok, but you know. Anyways, I now go in with the Studio London Matte Setting Mist, and I just spray this on my beauty blender. Doesn't really matter what setting spray you use. I just use this one because I don't want to use the rest of this one because, as I told you, it's running out. So I just use this and spray it all around my beauty blender. You don't want to do too much, but not too little either. The reason why we do this is because it makes your concealer blend a lot better rather than using a dry beauty blender. And I'm just going to roll that in between my hands just to get rid of like the wetness of it, really, because you don't want it to be really wet, otherwise your concealer will start to split, and we really don't want that. You want a damp beauty blender, not dry, not wet, in the middle. So now I'm just going to start on the inner corner. We're not dragging, we're not swiping, we are dabbing like this, and we are also not moving the concealer anywhere. We are literally blending it where we have put it. So as you can see, I'm just going along the side of my nose, just blending that in. You also don't want to press too hard because you don't want to pick up the coverage and also half of the concealer, because beauty blenders do actually soak up quite a lot of product. And you just want to blend that just all across of where we put it, like I said. You also want to really get that all up in your waterline, because if you don't, then I find it just looks kind of weird. I don't know. Once you get to the end of the like outer corner of your eye, You do also want to drag that, so you kind of just want to make a line from the corner of your eye to the end of your face like that. And then you just want to go on the edges and just make sure everything is blended in and there's no harsh lines anywhere. So now we want to repeat what we did on this side on this side. Also, I forgot to mention, when you're doing this side, like either side of your concealer, you do just want to blend it into that under of your nose area where we put our concealer. Now that we have all of our under eye concealer blended, we do just want to go in and blend our chin concealer and also the concealer on our forehead. If you're wondering why I'm looking this way, it's because my mirror is right in front of me and you guys are kind of at an angle, just so I can see better. You can also blend this concealer just around your mouth, so it kind of just looks kind of seamless really and leaves no lines. Now we're going to blend our forehead concealer, being really careful around them eyebrows, again, to try not get any makeup in the eyebrows. Now once we have blended all our concealer, we now want to go in with bronzer. I know this is a contour stick. This is the contour wand from Charlotte Tilbury. I'm pretty sure this is in the shade medium deep. Yeah, it's in the shade medium deep, but I find this is not a contour shade, this is a bronzer shade. I do always switch up my bronzers, but I find myself always going back to this one. So we just want to place it, there is no really specific placement, just kind of on your cheekbones. And just put however much you want. I just keep dabbing until it feels right. So your contour should be in these areas. I also put contour on my forehead. I focus putting more of it on the edges of my face rather than like all over my forehead. I find that this just kind of adds more like depth to your makeup rather than it just being the same shade all round. I do put a little bit on the middle though. I also just put some on my chin as well. Now I go in with the Real Techniques 200 brush and I'm literally just blending that kind of just on the edges of my face. This makeup tutorial is literally like, there's no like specific placement or of anything really. I just kind of go with it and it just looks amazing. I do kind of bring it to the edge of my eyeball into my concealer kind of, and it kind of just makes it look a bit more seamless. I also dab it down my face also, so the bottom of my face here, like my jawline, isn't just pale. Also, there is no swiping, just dabbing. Make sure not to miss out your ears as well, because you don't want pale ears either. And then you just want to do the same thing on the other side. Also blending this into your jaw as well. And the contour, well, bronzer we put on our chin will also just seamlessly blend into that too. Then we move on to our forehead bronzer. I start on the outer edges and I really try and get that all up in my hairline, so we have no like lines or anything. I'm blonde, as you can see, so it's hard not to get bronzer into my hairline, but I find these headbands actually really help. And we're really just focusing that bronzer on the edges of our faces, not really dragging it to the other side. Also bringing this down your face, connecting it to the bronzer we used on our cheekbones. I also like to bring it like right above where the tail of my eyebrow is. And then we go in on the other side and do the exact same thing. I also have just blended the middle of my forehead bronzer, and you just really want to keep that. You can drag it down to the middle just to kind of make it bronzy up here and then just get lighter and lighter as it gets to your eyebrows. And then we just go in on our chin bronzer and just drag that along our jawline, connecting that to the bronzer we used on our cheekbones and brought down to our jawline. Why was that so much to say? I don't know. That was like a tongue twister for some reason. Now that we've blended our bronzer, I do now go in with liquid blush. This is the blush from Made by Mitchell. You can get it on TikTok shop. This is in the shade Peony Passion, I think it's called. That's how you spell it. And I don't really use a lot of blush. I'm not really a blush person, to be honest. I really like bronzer. Like, I like bronzer way more than blush. So I don't really use too much. I just kind of dab it and I just put it, I don't know, here. I don't know all these like face terms that people use. I kind of just really put it above where I put my bronzer. And then to blend it, I just go in with this brush from Made by Mitchell. This is the MF0, I think. No, MF6 brush. And I just get the brush and just kind of blend it in, going diagonally along, like above where we put our bronzer, like I said before. Not really dragging it down or up too much, just kind of keeping it in the same position of where we like put the blush. Now we are halfway through finishing the makeup routine. We are about to move on to powder products, but if you are enjoying this video, make sure to like and comment more videos you'd love to see me do in the future. Now we're going with the same setting spray from earlier. This is the Pore Filter one, and I just spray that all over my face, and it just kind of sets in all of that liquid products we just used. Now you just want to like fan it with your hands, or you can use a fan if you have one and you just fancy. Now that your setting spray has dried, you want to go back in with the beauty blender that we use for our concealer, and you just want to look up and get rid of all them creases that you may have caused whilst doing your bronzer and blush. This just helps your powder go on better and obviously not, I guess, intensify and make the creases become more obvious. Now that you've got rid of the creases, I go in with the Made by Mitchell Eye Lights palette. This palette is in the shade Starlight, and I have this beauty blender that I got in a giveaway package that I won. So I have no idea where it's from, but I go in with the shade Stella and I use quite a bit of it. I rarely get in there with my powder puff. Now we're just going to get that and look up. Make sure you're looking up so you're not causing any creasing, especially when you're really under your eye. You just want to really get in there with the powder. You can't really see what you're doing, so you just kind of have to trust yourself. And then you can look down after that, and you just want to get the powder and just put it everywhere where you put your concealer. And I do also bring that across from where we put our line earlier with the concealer. So your under eyes should be amazing and nice like mine. You are going to get creasing, of course, like creasing is really normal, but this is what your under eyes should be looking like. Now we're going to repeat that same thing on this eye. Also, when we're doing our powder, we don't just want to be placing it on our skin. We really want to be pressing that powder into our skin. Now I have finished this eye, I do just go in with that same shade and just put the powder everywhere where I put concealer. So that is under my nostrils, on my chin and on my forehead. Also, something that I actually realised like a few months ago is when I'm doing my powder under my nostrils, you want to go like this, because that opens up this bit, and sometimes I forget to put makeup there, and when I go like, I don't know when I'll be doing that, but you just never know. So you just want to do that, and I sound really weird, but it does help, I promise. Now I'm just putting that powder on my forehead. I'm also going around my eyebrows with it, kind of, not around my whole eyebrow, just kind of the front to like the middle of the eyebrow. This also just kind of sets any foundation or bronzer, I guess, because obviously we didn't bring our bronzer all the way down to our eyebrows, so there will just be foundation there, so it just sets that in. And also I bring it in between my eyebrows as well, just to kind of like blend it and make it look better. Now we go in with a loose powder. This is the Huda Beauty powder in the shade Pound Cake, and I just go like that and then got my powder. You do want to kind of load up your powder puff, but not too much. I just put about that much on. I guess that is actually kind of a lot. And then I just outline my nose where the powder is before, because there will be a line because you'll be able to see it. And you just want to do like a line above it, I guess. And then the same thing as we did with our other powder, we just want to look up so we don't cause any creasing. You don't need to look up as much as we did before because there's obviously powder under it, but you do still need to look up. And again, we aren't placing the powder on top of our skin, we are really pressing that in to the skin. And again, we are bringing that powder out and doing a line here like we did with the concealer and also the powder before this. And again, I kind of just bring the powder a little bit below just to blend it so there's no harsh lines. So your powder should look something like this. Don't worry, we will be wiping it off after. We aren't just going to leave it like this. But now we're just going to do the same thing on this eye. And I do also bring that under my nostrils too. We don't put this powder anywhere else on our face, just under our eyes and our nostrils. You now just want to leave this powder to bake for a little bit. You don't really have to do it for too long. I'd say a minute at least, maybe 30 seconds. And then I go in with this brush and also this brush. This brush is from e.l.f. and it's the pointed powder brush. I just use this to wipe off the rest of the bake. You literally want to wipe not all of it off, like not everything, but just the excess powder that isn't really gone into the skin. And then I used the Refine brush. I'm not sure which one this is. I'm pretty sure this is the complexion brush. I use the smaller side and I use this to get rid of the powder line on my nose because I find this big brush doesn't really get in there and this one just works better. Now we are going to go in with powdered bronzer. This is the Hoola bronzer from Benefit. I'm not sure if this has a shade. I don't think it does. It doesn't say a shade, but it's just this one. And then I just used this random brush I stole from Mum's makeup bag when I was like 12. And you're just going to put that where we blended our bronzer earlier, just kind of all over really. Make sure you're not missing your ears or your jawline or your neck. Again, there isn't really an amount that I like to use. I just keep on putting more on until it feels right, I guess. It really just depends on how much of a bronzy look you really want. But with this, you do also want to tap. With everything, we're basically tapping, not gonna lie. Because this part of your face, we didn't put any powder on. So the bronzer underneath won't be set. But after you have put bronzer on, you can just sit there and go like this. I do also bring a little bit of bronzer to like, not the middle of my chin, but the sides of my chin, just to blend it into that powder, what we put on there earlier. Now we're going to put some bronzer on our forehead. We are just going to focus the bronzer on this part, like the edges of your forehead, like we did earlier with the cream bronzer. And also tapping with your brush because, again, this part of our face is not set with powder. I do still put bronzer on the middle of my forehead, just not as much as I put on the edges. Why can't I speak today? I actually don't know what's going on. Like today, I've just been stuttering so much. And then I do a bit of nose contour. I used to do nose contour, but I feel like it just takes so much time and I really just can't be bothered to do it. So I do just tap my brush into the bronzer once and just tap it like that. And I just kind of go over my nose and just kind of put bronzer just all over it, just so the nose just has a little bit of powder products on it and kind of blends into the powder that we put like a line of here. It also just kind of sets everything on our nose, like the foundation. Now we are moving on to powder blush. This is the blush from Makeup by Mario. It's a very pink shade. It looks like this. It's in the shade Poppy Pink. Again, I don't really like blush. I do like it, but I just don't like a lot of it. So I do only use a little bit. This brush is the Real Technique 400 brush. All the Real Technique brushes I used, I did get in a pack. I'm not sure if they've sold separately. I'm not too sure. But again, we just put the blush where we put our liquid blush earlier. Not too much though, but also not too little to the point where it looks like we don't have any blush on at all. Now for the last and final step, it is highlighter. This is the Rare Beauty highlighter in the shade Enlighten. It's an amazing highlighter. I really recommend this. This is literally going to last me forever. It's probably the best highlighter I have ever tried. I also take this on the Real Technique 402 brush. I don't use too much highlighter, but also not too little. Obviously, highlighter is buildable, so you can just start with a little bit. I put this on the tip of my nose. As you can see, that is a lot, but you can just blend it in with your finger to make it more subtle. Then I go in with it on the bridge of my nose, kind of in between my eyes to the middle of my nose, as I find putting a whole line down your nose, I don't know, it just I just don't like it. And then again, I'm blending that in with my finger to make it more subtle. Then I put it kind of on my brow bone, I think this is called. It's kind of like on the arch of your eyebrow. It just kind of adds a little bit of something, especially because this is a no eyeshadow look. You don't want to put too much because I don't really want to be glowing, to be honest. I do just want a little bit of a shimmer under my eyebrows. Now I go in with it on my cheeks and I'm really kind of precise with it. I do just do a little line. It's kind of in the middle of where we put our blush. And I just put a little line there and then again blend it in with my finger. And that is our whole face done. Now we just have lips to do. But before that, I do just want to go in with a lot of setting spray as we're not putting any more products on our face. I have full on run out of this. I've just used the last and final bit. of my setting spray, and obviously you do just want to fan that in like we did before. Now for the lips, I do have two different lip liners I like to go in with. The first one is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk lip liner. It says lip cheat, maybe that, I don't know, but that one. And also the NYX Professional Makeup Lip Pencil in the shade Nude Pink. But I'm not going to use this today as it's not sharpened, but I do sometimes just switch between them. This one is rarely pink, but you just got to trust the process with it. So I'm just going to outline my lips. I don't really overline, so I'm just going to outline them. Now that I have outlined my lips, it's really messy, but it's fine. Now I'm just going to go in and kind of bring up that lip liner just a little bit. Just like that. As you can see, I've kind of like brought it up a little bit, but not too far. And I also do that on the top lip as well. And you just want to kind of like, what is that called? I don't know what that's called, but you want to do that. And then I also get my finger and just tap it over my lips, as I find it just helps it to blend and kind of like makes the pink less bright, because it is quite a bright pink. Then I go in with the e.l.f. lip oil. This is in the shade Pink Quartz. I use this lip oil no matter what lip liner I'm using, as I find it just goes with literally every single lip liner that I use, and it's just a really good lip oil. So you want to go in with that on your bottom lip and also your top lip, not too much though. And then you just want to blend that in. And then there you have it. This is my everyday makeup routine. Comment down below if you love this makeup routine and what makeup routines you'd like to see in the future. Bye guys. You said I can't trust in